All right, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Rainmaker Training and Coaching. Super excited that you're here. I have worked this morning to prepare what I feel is a very good message for you. And I want to start out with a quote from Mother Teresa. And the quote is, "We ourselves feel that we ourselves feel that what we are doing is a drop in the ocean. But the ocean would be less because of that missing drop." In other words, you may feel like what you're doing is insignificant. You're really not making a difference. In reality, you're making a much bigger difference than you think you are. And there's a story of a couple that's walking down the beach, and they come across this person who's picking up starfish that are on the beach, and he's throwing those starfish back into the ocean. And I just want to, it's a very short story, and you've heard it before, and maybe you're going to hear something different today than you haven't heard in the past. And I'm just going to read it to you. This is coming from Chicken Soup for the Soul. So just so you know, you could probably Google the story and you don't have to buy the book. So a friend of ours was walking down a deserted Mexican beach at sunset. As he walked along, he began to see another man in the distance. As he grew nearer, he noticed that the man kept leaning down, picking something up and throwing it into the water. Time and again, he kept hurling these things back into the ocean. As our friend approached even closer, he noticed that the man was picking up starfish that had been washed up on the beach. One at a time, he was throwing them back into the water. Our friend was puzzled. He approached the man and said, "Good evening, friend. I was wondering, what are you doing?" "I'm throwing these starfish back into the ocean." You see, it's low tide now, and all of these starfish have been washed up on the shore. If I don't throw them back into the sea, they'll die up here from a lack of oxygen. Who do you know that's lacking oxygen? Who do you know that needs you to help them find oxygen so that they can survive? We think that what we do really doesn't matter. And in reality, everything we do matters. It matters to me, it matters to you, it matters to all of us. "I understand," my friend replied, "but there must be thousands of starfish on the beach. You possibly can't get all of them. There are simply too many. And don't you realize this is probably happening on hundreds of beaches all up and down this coast? Can't you see that you can't possibly make a difference?" Oh my gosh. Can't you see that you possibly can't make a difference? Who's telling you that? Are you telling you that? Is that inner voice inside of your mind saying, "You can't really make a difference, so don't"? The man smiled, bent down, and picked up yet another starfish. And as he threw it back into the sea, he replied, "I made a difference to that one." Now, here's my feeling on this. If you study enough, you're going to find enough stories of people who changed the world. It's a butterfly effect, who didn't realize they were really changing the world. And one of my favorite stories is the story of Norman Borlaug. So Norman Borlaug was given the Nobel Peace Prize for saving, and he was credited with saving billions of lives. And what he had done is he had created this process using hybrids, a certain type of seed that would grow in hybrid environments. In other words, he was producing food where food didn't exist prior to that because of the work that he had done. And because of that work, he was credited with saving billions of lives. Pretty amazing, right? And you're thinking, well, that's Norman Borlaug. He's a big deal. He should get that award. But what if I told you it wasn't really Norman Borlaug that had saved those billions of lives? What if I said that there was a vice president of the United States at the time that Norman Borlaug was working in these labs in Arizona to create these seeds that would grow in hybrid environments, that was really responsible for saving billions of lives? Because if it wasn't for Henry Wallace, this lab in Arizona wouldn't even exist, because it was his idea to create this lab. So it was really Henry Wallace that should have been credited with saving billions of lives. But then if I told you, well, it wasn't really Henry Wallace, it was George Washington Carver. Remember him? Peanut guy. Well, when Wallace was in school, he was the son of one of the professors. When he wasn't in school, sorry, when Henry Wallace's father was a professor at University of Iowa or Iowa State, I forget which one. He had a student in his class that was George Washington Carver, who would take Henry Wallace out on these exhibits where they would study wildlife and they would study plants. And he planted this seed of passion into Henry Wallace for studying plants and how those plants could be used. And it was George Washington Carver that really saved billions of lives, simply by inspiring this young boy to take an interest that resulted in this lab in Arizona, which resulted in Norman Borlaug creating a process for growing food where food would not grow. And then I would tell you, well, it wasn't really George Washington Carver. It was a man by the name of Moses Washington. Moses and his wife lived in Diamond, Missouri, and they lived in Diamond, Missouri during a time where there were these group of men called the Raiders. I forget exactly the first part of that, but this group of men would ride through these farms in these slave type communities, and they would do massive damage. They would destroy farms. They would kill people. And on one particular night, they went into Moses Washington's farm and they destroyed everything. They killed horses. They destroyed the farm, and they kidnapped this little baby and his mother. And the woman who was kidnapped was a friend of Moses's wife, Susan, and she encouraged him to go out and to find this woman and to save her and save the baby. Well, he was able to find the baby. The mother was already dead, and he was able to take the one horse that he had and to trade that horse for the life of this baby. And he took this baby and he wrapped him up in his jacket and he carried him home freezing. And he held him close to him and he talked words of inspiration into him. He told him, I'm going to raise you as my own child. I'm going to give you my name. And Moses Washington saved that little baby. The baby was George Washington Carver. So really, it was Moses Washington who saved billions of lives. So what's my point? My point is, I promise you, Moses Washington wasn't thinking about saving billions of lives when he saved that little child's life. He was simply trying to save a baby. And that one act led to a butterfly effect that led to saving billions of lives. Now, my question to you is, what could you do today to make a difference? And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, Well, let's put it this way. I bet that more than a few of you are thinking that you can't make a difference. I know that. How do I know that? Because you're human like I am. And it's natural for us to think that, well, I can't make a difference. Who am I? And I'm going to tell you, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Here's what I want you to do. Make a list of people that you are closest to. Make that list. Your husband, your wife, your spouse, your significant other, your children, your friends, the people that you are closest to. The next thing I want you to do is next to each of their names, I want you to tell your story. In other words, how have you impacted their lives? How might that difference create a butterfly effect? I'll give you a great example. So a lot of you know my wife, Monica, and Monica is one of those people who would tell you, she feels that she really doesn't make a difference. She'll tell me all the time, well, John, you're a speaker, you're a trainer, you're a coach, you talk to thousands of people, you're changing lives, but I'm really not that important. I'm like, wow, really? So Monica is responsible for everything that I have done in my life. If anybody were to say, John, you've made a difference, my response would really be, it's not me, it's Monica. She's the one that's responsible for this. She's the one that encouraged me to get my real estate license. I had no intention. I didn't want to do it. She saw what I didn't see, and all she did was have a conversation with me. And the conversation was, you're not having fun in your job anymore. You should go get your real estate license. You would be really good at this. And then when I got my license, she encouraged me. She motivated me. She shared feedback with me that kept me going when I wanted to give up. There were many times that I wanted to give up. And the only reason I didn't is because of her. When I changed my path and started my own team, it was because Monica said, you need to start doing what you're doing now for somebody else. You need to do it for yourself. You need to create your own team. You need to go out and do this. You would be really good at it. My response was, I don't want to. And she encouraged me, inspired me, and motivated me to do that. And because of that, I was able to go further into my real estate career. It was Monica who inspired me to use my passion for speaking, training, and coaching to make a difference in other people's lives. I would never be doing this if it wasn't for her. It was Monica who raised two amazing children in Colin and Lacey, and these kids are amazing today because of the difference that she made. It was Monica who sat by Lacey's side every day while she was fighting non-Hodgkin lymphoma at the age of 14, going through 365 days, 52 weeks of chemotherapy. It was Monica who was by her side every day fighting that battle with her. It wasn't me. So you see, here's my point. You've got a person that I know really well who feels that she doesn't make a difference. She'll tell you that. She's like, I'm not important. I really don't make a difference. And I would tell you that's absolutely not true. And I would also tell you that it's not true for you. I wish I was never born. Ever hear anybody say that? I think kids say that when they get really upset, right? And you can look at that and you could say, yeah, they're kids. Or you could look at that and say somebody is being a victim. But what if you're listening to somebody who truly wishes they were never born? Well, what would life look like if they weren't? What if you weren't born? What would the world look like without you? And I'm going to tell you, every single one of you, you've made a difference. You make a difference. every single day. I remember the George Bailey story from It's a Wonderful Life, when he had the opportunity to see what the world would be like if he wasn't born. And it's a movie, and it's a feel-good movie and all that other kind of stuff. I get it, but it's true. My friend Perry Campbell lived his life to serve others. He wasn't really focused on creating an empire, doing anything great, or being great, or any kind of awards that he could get. But if you ever needed help, he was there. I remember a day that I was driving home back from Palm Harbor, back to Coral Springs, and Lacey is in the car with me. And it's probably one of the worst times of my life. My daughter is fighting cancer. Financially, I'm not doing well. I'm driving this car that I don't like, and I'm angry because I can't drive the car that I want. And we go over the Skyway Bridge, and we're heading back home, and it's like 98 degrees. It's the middle of the summer. It's hot, and the car breaks down. And I'm like, great. So I call my friend, and I said, all I asked him was, do you know where there's a dealer, that a car dealer, mechanic, that I can have my car towed to so that it can be fixed? That was the only question I asked him. Within 5 minutes, he had given me the information I was looking for, and he said, John, I'll meet you at that car dealership. I've got an extra car. I'll have a friend follow me. When we get to that car dealership, I'll give you my car so that you can get Lacey in air conditioning. She doesn't need to be in this 98-degree weather, and you guys can drive home. And when your car is finished, the work is done, I'll pick it up and I'll drive it down to you in Coral Springs so that you don't have to come back in order to get your car back. I'll bring it to you. Now, if you ask Perry, he'd go, it's just what I do. But he did that every day. Anybody ever asked for anything, anybody ever needed anything, he was there. He was making a difference. He wasn't trying to make a difference. He was just being Perry. So let's go back to the question that I asked you. What can you do to make a difference? Where are you making a difference that you don't think you're making a difference? Why is this important? Well, I think it's one of the most important conversations we can have. All right, guys, talk to me. What are your thoughts?
Hi, John.
Rosaline,
How are you? Good morning.
every day's a great day.
It's a great day. It's a fabulous day. What I got from what you were saying is that we all make a difference. And sometimes what we find is we underestimate the difference that we're making in the world because sometimes we look for like material objects and things to validate us. Whereas sometimes it just might be just making a difference in someone's life, and we all add value. And that's the point. We all add value some way, somehow, through interaction with our colleagues, our spouses, our children. We add value.
Yeah, 100%. Mussolini, I agree with you. And I think in this social media world that we live in, we're living in a world where we want other people to make us feel important.
Yeah.
And what if we stopped focusing on other people making us feel important, and we lived our lives to make other people feel important?
And that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. And it's a starfish, right? Because somebody might say, well, John, there's just so many people. What difference can I make? And I would say to this one, all the difference in the world.
So true. One person.
I have a story.
Robin, talk to me.
I have a story because I believe in the goodness of social media, and I've used it to build my business. This was a few years ago. I don't even know how I connected with this woman. I think just through a community group we had connected, and I happened to wake up in the middle of the night, like I use the bathroom or whatever, and sometimes my brain starts going, so I'll use Facebook to like rein myself back in and get tired. So I was just scrolling through Facebook, and this woman posted that, like, I don't know her, but she posted it on her wall. I mean, I knew her enough that she was my friend. I connected with her because maybe she wanted something in real estate. So she had posted like something along the lines of, if you don't hear from me, there's a reason. And like, I was like, okay, wow. And she said, and then the next sentence was to tell her daughter that she loved her. And I was like, oh, dude. So I just immediately messaged her. In the minute, it was like minutes old, the post. So like it was just, to me it was a God thing. But so I messaged her and I was like, hey, your post kind of concerns me. I was like, I know you don't know me, but to me that's some red flags popping up. And so she was like, yeah, well, so she just wrote in Messenger, like, book. And I responded and I listened and I encouraged and I told her how valuable she is and how devastated her daughter would be if she weren't present. And I didn't know for certain that she was contemplating suicide, but she, like, without a doubt was. And I told her, I was like, I'll come over now. Like, tell me what you need me to do. Like, I don't know you, but I know that you live not far from me. I'll come sit with you. Like, what do you need? And she's like, no, I just needed to listen. And so that next day she messaged me and she was like she was within seconds, like, of a gun in herself. And so she was like, you saved my life. And like to this day she'll send me notes like, you made a difference. So I don't know, I just feel like when you see somebody, any form of flag, or even if you don't see it, even if you just like, that's one of the reasons I just go spread love in the world as much as I can. And I put out things all the time about the what is it, 988, the mental health hotline, because people need it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this too, this is kind of cool. My son came out and I don't care, I love my son, like God made him that way in my world. But you know what I did the next day? I called the suicide hotline and I said, I'm not committing suicide, neither is my son, but this is a suicide prevention line. I need to know what to do to help him so he doesn't get there. And they were like, oh my gosh, I wish more people did this. I wish more people called us and said, give me tools. Because that's what it's there for. Like, you don't have to be committing suicide or thinking about it to call the suicide prevention line. That's what people think. Use it to help yourself be educated. So anyways, that was a big heavy on all that you said, but I guess my point is that you do make a difference, and you can make a difference in a complete stranger's life if you just look for ways to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Robin, it's interesting because I was thinking about you as I was sharing this message, and I was looking for feedback, and I looked up and I saw, oh, good, Robin's here. I've known Robin for 4 months, and she's just one of those people. The moment you meet her, she makes a difference. And you've made a difference in my life, Robin, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. You've made a difference in mine as well. I think you're amazing. You're welcome, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
All right. I don't want to sign off without giving anybody else an opportunity to talk if they want to. So if you're feeling that you want to talk and you're like, oh, I'm not sure, please talk. Because the answer to that question is always yes. Take yourself off mute and talk. You never know when you might share something that's going to change somebody else's life. So killing time here, giving you a chance to jump in here and talk. I hope that everybody got value from today's message. I know this week there were more mindset meetings that we had than there were skill set meetings. And if you're on this Zoom coaching and training meeting with us daily, and you're here because you find value in the skill set conversations, how to go get more listings, how to sell more homes, how to make more money. Don't worry, we're going to get back to that. There's always a reason. I don't do anything by accident. And I listen and I go where I think I'm supposed to go. And if I shared more mindset conversations with you this week, it's because I felt like I needed to. Hope you got value. It's Friday, so enjoy the weekend. Make sure you take some time off. Remember, never truly off, never truly on. And that means when you're taking time off, put your phone away, put your computer away, and no work. Just enjoy the week. I think Sunday is the turn the clock forward day. I could be wrong about that. I usually don't.
It is daylight savings time.
Yeah, and Mussolini, I'm shocked that I actually even know that. I usually don't even know about those things the day before. We're on an official countdown here, so it's exciting. Still packing the house and loading trucks, headed to the west coast of Florida next Thursday. So I'll remind you every day between now and next Friday that we will not have a call on Friday. I will be unpacking trucks and moving into the new house. It's the only time that we'll be off. I'll be back on the following Monday. And I'll see all of you Monday morning at 8:30. Make it a great day. I appreciate you. Grateful for this opportunity.
Thanks, John.
Have a great day.
Yes. All of you.
Have a great day, John.
Back at you.